For this week's CAD task, we'll be focusing on revision questions for CSWA. As you know, at the end of week 8 or 9, you are going to have a CSWA exam. So in fact, this week we already started on revision questions, okay, and this will be your first revision question. Okay, before we continue, I would like you to download these two Word document files, this one here and also this file here. This is your this week's CAD task. Okay, so let's take a look at our CSWA syllabus. For CSWA, your total questions, you will have several questions and the total score will be 245. To pass, you need 165. If you calculate it out, you know that this is around 70%. Okay, so in the questions there are some of them are part creation, some of it is going to be assembly questions. Alright, so and then also there will be some objective on 2D drawing questions, but they're very small. They're only 5 points each, and there are 3 questions. Right, most of the time, you guys, if you messed up, you'll be under here, the basic part creation. Unless you've been playing around, most people can do the assembly part. Alright, and the thing that gets most of you, from what I've observed, is most of you can't do the part creation. Okay, you guys are very weak at the part creation part of this class. Okay, so usually the part creation, there are around, I think altogether there are around 3 parts you need to create. Okay, this one here is an sample from a past year question. Alright, this is one part. Okay, and you need to create 2 additional parts. Alright, there's also assembly. I think assembly, there are also 2 assemblies you need to create. So altogether, all part, in terms of like, if you combine part creation and assembly, there's around 5 questions. Right, excluding the 2D draft questions. So if you realize this, then you start to realize how messed up this exam is. Right, there's not enough time. It's a 2 hours exam. Right, and you need to create 5 different things. Right, you don't have enough time in the exam. So you need to be really, really good at. Your hands need to be fast enough. You need enough practice in CSWA. Alright, so for example, today's question, let's take a look at it. Alright, if you download your Word document, so you can pause this video here first, okay, while reading. Okay, if you look at today's Word document, you can see that this is a past year question, and they've given you a set of dimensions over here, and they want you to create this part out. Okay, and then after that, for the second, there are 2 questions. For the second question, they ask you, once you have done that, please modify the dimensions, right, by changing A, B, and C. Okay, what are A, B, and C? It's given here. This A represents the length of the model, B represents the height, and C represents the thickness of the model. Okay, so this is a typical SolidWorks question. Right, this is how your SolidWorks questions will be asked. Okay, but so in exam, right, so what happens is that this question, even though we give you 1 week to do it, right, in exam, this question, try to guess how long you're supposed to finish it. Okay, the answer is 10 to 15 minutes. Since you have 5 questions altogether, you need to be able to create 1 part in 15 minutes. Okay, so if you want to know whether you are ready for CSWA, today's CAD task is very easy. If you can finish today's assignment in 15 minutes, you're ready. If you take more than 15 minutes, you're probably not ready for the exam. Okay, so with that said, alright, let me show you how to get started on today's CAD task. Okay, before I continue, okay, one more thing, as I mentioned, I'll be nagging you every week. So this week is week 3. You see the red one here? That means that you should have been done with the self-help tutorial up to this part here. For week 3, you need to be done up to the yellow part. Alright, and for week 4 and 5, which is the following week, you should be done up to this 2 other parts. Okay, since we're under lockdown, I don't see why you guys cannot finish all of it in 1 day. Alright, so technically, yeah, you could finish all these parts by yourself in 1 day. It's quite fast. Alright, you should definitely do this. Okay, okay, so let's get started on today's CAD task. Alright, let's take a look at my hints and tips. Okay, so you can pause the video here, okay, take a snapshot or whatnot of these hints and tips. Okay, take a snapshot here and then put it on your phone next to you. Okay, so I'll be following this important tips, alright, in your CSWA exam preparations. Okay, okay, let's get started. Okay, let's close this because this is the one that I've done. Okay, as usual, since we are creating a part, click File, New, click on Part, click OK. And as I've mentioned in my previous videos, always check the units. It's super important now, you know why? Because all these units that you're going to do in SolidWorks, they are all in millimeters. Alright? And you're going to see later on, they might ask you for a mass. Alright? Sometimes they ask you for a mass, and if you give it in inches, then bye-bye time. You don't have enough time to go back and correct and change everything back to inches. So make sure this is in millimeters. Okay, enable the eyeball icon. Remember this origin. Okay, this is very important. Okay, you're gonna see here. Okay, so I'm gonna sketch the thing here. Okay, let me put split screen so that it's easier to see. All right. Okay. So let's try the first question. So A is 81, B is 57, and C is the depth is 43. All right. So how to do this type of questions in CSWA? All right. First of all, you choose a plane. Okay, step number 1, if you recall. Okay. So what I like to do is that there are many ways of doing this type of question, but in this, if you look at our tips and hints, all right, for this example, we only need one sketch and one extrude. All right. This is the easiest way to do this question. One sketch, one extrude. So do not have multiple sketches for this question. Okay, so let's try this now. Okay, so what I like to do is usually I'll start sketching the rough shape out. Okay, example, I start it from here. Let me sketch from this point here, and I move clockwise. Okay, so for this part here, all right, let's start sketching. Click on Sketch. Okay, select the front plane. Sketch from the origin. Always start your sketch from the origin. Okay, just start straight line, curve. Okay, don't bother with the curve for now. Okay, and what I'll do is sketch. Just getting around. I haven't smart dimension anything. Just getting the approximate shape out first. Okay. Something like this. I'm leaving out all the curves first, alright? Okay. If you see this perpendicular sign here, this relationship, delete it. Alright? I'll explain why later. Okay. But for now, okay, leave out all the curves as well. Alright? There's a separate video on how to do the curves. It's the relationship video. Alright? Watch the relationship video on SolidWorks on how to do the curves. Alright? So once I'm done with the approximate shape, how I like to do next is I'll just smart dimension everything that I know, alright, everything I can see. Alright, so if you look at my hints and tips, it says don't calculate out values that you are not sure of. Okay, so this is applicable to the entire CSWA exam. Whenever you see a dimension that is not given, alright, it's purposely omitted. Alright, it's not accidentally they've forgotten. All the dimensions, I've seen many CSWA questions, alright, they give you just enough one. Alright, if they give you something, make sure you put it in. If they don't give it to you, make sure you don't calculate out. I'll give you an example, okay, one common mistake students like to do. Alright, over here. Alright, if you look at this part here, this short thing here, right, this smart here, you realize that the dimension is not given. So what a lot of students like to do is that they would like to take A, subtract 29, subtract this angle, find the hypotenuse of this, then find this length here, and then then after that they smart dimension this part. Don't do that, okay? In CSWA is not a mathematical exam. They don't expect you to calculate out geometric portions, okay? So don't do that, alright? Just leave it as it is. If it's not given, don't put it there, okay? So what I'll do next is that I'll smart dimension the parts that I know, alright? Smart dimension the parts that I know. Let's put 29 here. Let's put 29. Okay, it says 45. Okay, I'm gonna click this line here. Click this line, drag it out, and I'll get my angle smart dimension. Hit 45. Okay, smart dimension here, 5. Click a 5. Smart dimension here to here. Get a 24. Alright. Then after that, what I'll do next is I'll click on this point here, and click on this point here, and select a 29. Alright, so hit the tick button there. Alright. Then smart dimension it says here 19. Alright, so I'm going to put a 19 there. Okay, everything I'm doing, I'm following exactly how this thing is. I'm not, if they put it down, I'm going to put it down. If they put it left, I'm going to put it left. As I said, copy exactly what they do. Alright, CSWA is basically you're copying the question. Alright. Okay, so just now, if you recall earlier, I deleted the perpendicular relationship. The reason is because if I had, example, if I don't delete this perpendicular relationship, okay, here and here, alright, oops, that didn't work, probably here and here, oh, yeah, it's by default, it's gone already, yeah, alright, let's try this, let's delete this line just to show you an example. Okay, let's assume I had left the perpendicular sign there. The question asked me to dimension 45 degrees angle. Watch what happens when I try to smart dimension the 45 degree angle. Alright, when I try to smart dimension the angle up, wrong. Okay, remember smart dimension is always click one line, click the other line, and drag out. Alright, and tick. Alright, so what will happen is that this 45 degrees, okay, if I smart dimension again, I put a 7 here. The 7 comes from here. Okay, I'm just copying all the dimensions, alright? So I'm going a bit fast. Anyway, you can slow down the video. Alright, what will happen is that this 45 degrees angle, if I continue doing this, okay, if I leave this perpendicular sign there, will give me an error. Alright, later on you'll see an error there. Okay, when I'm done smart dimensioning everything, you'll give me an error. So what I prefer to do is I will always delete the relationship, the 45 degree angle. Oh, okay. Right, you see the error there? Okay, so this is what I meant. So if you see this error, what you want to do is just delete the perpendicular relationship. Alright, we want to copy exactly what they give us. Okay, oops. Alright, actually, by right, actually, when you do smart dimension, when you got so many dimensions, it's good to go in one direction, either clockwise or anti-clockwise. Alright, so you see, without the perpendicular sign, I can put a smart dimension there. Alright, so next would be this. 14. Alright. 7, sorry. I mean. Yeah. 7. 32. I haven't drawn the circle yet, so yeah, this 14 represents for the circle. 45. 14. Alright. Don't think I've missed anything. Okay. Okay, so now just draw the circle first. Just draw a circle. And next what I'm going to do is I'm going to smart dimension 14 here. Alright, so now I'm going to add another 14 there. Alright, hit a tick. Smart dimension the circle, 14. Alright, so I need to do this a lot faster. If you realize I've spent more than 10 minutes doing this already. Right, by right I can do this in probably under 8 to 9 minutes. Alright, you should be able to finish it in 10 minutes. Alright, 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so once you're done with those, all the dimensions that you can do, alright, I guess I can do this as well. I can add one more line here. Okay, let's smart dimension this 10 degrees. So you're left now with a few unknowns, like the curves and also this curve here. Alright, so watch the video on relationships on how we can actually create this tangent line here. Okay, you can watch that video after you pause this video and play the other video on relationships, how we can create this curve section here. Alright, but I need to smart dimension A and B as well. I haven't done that. Alright, let's smart dimension A. A is the width, so it's from this point here to this point. Let's smart dimension here. A is 81. Alright, B is 57. Alright, B is 57. Okay, B is 57, looks almost like the actual shape already. Okay, so alright, so I'm going to leave it here for now. Okay, watch the video on relationships, on how to create this this symbol here represents tangent, how to create all these tangent arcs. Alright, watch the video on relationships. Okay, so I'm going to close this here. I'm going to for now. Okay, and I'll let you guys try to figure out how to create these curves here. Alright, how to create all this relationship and curves here. Okay, so welcome back. If you have done it correctly, your model should look like mine. Alright, it's fully defined. Okay, look at the hints. Alright, make sure your lines are all fully defined. Alright, before extruding. Okay, in CSWA, and in fact, not just CSWA, but in SolidWorks, in week 1 and week 2, I allowed you guys to actually simply do anywhere you want. You can extrude your picture, your work, but actually the right way of doing a professional way of doing this is that you need to make sure that everything is on the origin, okay, and everything is fully defined before you extrude. Okay, in CSWA, make sure you only extrude once it's fully defined. If you haven't fully defined anything, it's probably because you're missing a dimension. Watch what I mean here. All right, if I delete this dimension here, you realize everything goes under defined. All right, and what I usually like to do is that when something is underdefined, how I like to do this is that, let's assume because there are a lot of dimensions and I do not know where I'm missing one dimension, what I like to do is that I'll hold on the blue point, one of the blue points here. Example, this point here is blue, and I like to shake it. I like to shake my mouse. So I can't shake it left and right, which means I'm not missing a dimension, horizontal dimension. But since I can move it up and down, means I'm missing a vertical dimension. Okay, that's probably why I'm what dimension I'm missing, and then what I do is I'll check, okay, which vertical dimension I'm missing. Is it 32? Nope, I have 32. Is it 5? No, I have 5. Oh, so it's 24. Okay, I even have 57. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll just smart dimension 32 here, 24. Alright, hit the tick button and you're done. Okay, so it's always fully defined before you extrude. Okay, so once you are done fully defining your thing, okay, then you can finally extrude your part. Okay, so if you look at my part here, I've already extruded it. The extrusion that I choose, the thickness, is 43. It's not, I didn't blindly choose my extrusion. This 43 represents this dimension here. Alright, okay, so once you're done with that, that's question 1. Okay, so what I want you guys to do next is do question 2. Alright, if you have done it correctly, okay, even though in CSWA, even though there are many questions, okay, the second question in this case is linked to the first question. If you have done it correctly, alright, you do not have to redo question 2 again. Okay, you just have to save this file, save as Cat 4, example Cat 4 part B, right, or question 2. Alright, save it. Okay, and after that, what you need to do next is you don't have to redo the whole part. If you have followed all my steps so far, everything is fully defined, everything is origin, you're not missing any dimensions, then all you need to do is go back to your sketch, right click your sketch, edit sketch. Alright, that's normal to this. Alright, and then you see A, B, and C. All you need to do is change A, double click on the old dimension A, type 89, change B, type 54, and finally C is 45. So let's accept that. Go to right click, edit feature, C, change it to 45. Alright. Okay. Alright. Is that correct? Yeah, okay, looks correct. 54, 89, 45. Alright, so then you're done. Okay, so the question only takes you less than 5 seconds to do if you have done question 1 correctly. Okay, so my point here is that oh yeah, you can check whether you've done it correctly or not. Do you see this for this week's CAD task? Alright, I don't recommend you do this in exam. If you want to know whether you've done this correctly or not, just click on the smart dimension. Alright, and just click on here. The answer given should be 3.54. If you get 3.54, right, even if you smart dimension, you get an error because everything is very fully defined. I'm just adding some unknown. But I know that if I've done everything correctly, this error given, it should be 3.54. So cancel that. Right, so once you're done with that, okay, once you're done with that, okay, what you need to do next is save it. Alright, save the submission, follow the submission requirement here. This week, the submission is not in PDF, like your CAD task 1 2 and 3. All right, we are not it's not beauty contest, this is a revision question. So I want you guys to save this part file following this. So file, save as. All right, just follow example 216525554, student number question 2. Okay, save as a part file. Okay, student question 2. Okay, then I want you guys to zip this folder, all right, or add them in a folder, both question 1 and question 2. Save it as a part file. Save the part file to Moodle. All right. Okay. With that said, all right, there's this part here, this second part here. It says no submission required, which means you do not have to submit it. Okay. So in case you're wondering why I said you should only take 10 to 15 minutes to finish this question, is because in CSWA, this is not. Part 1, Part 2 is not considered as even one question. Right? There's actually a third part here where they will ask you to modify this shape here. Right? This is optional, right, for your Cad Task assignment, but I strongly recommend you go back and practice this. Right? Practice finishing this. Try to create this part here. Right? Try to create all these sections here, because this entire paper from the top to bottom only consists of one question, which means, as I say, in CSWA you need to create 3 parts and you need to assemble 2 to 3 assemblies. All right, so you need to, and it's only a 2 hours exam, so you need to you time yourself, see whether you can finish from question 1 all the way to this third part here in less than 20 minutes. All right, so you should be able to do it. If you can't do it, just think you have failed the exam. All right, okay.